Here is Helena Norberg-Hodge. She's dedicated her life to campaigning against globalisation. Globalisation is a system where big corporations have more power than you or me or any other person. Farmers markets, it's a bit bourgeois, isn't it? For posh people eating their posh apples at a farmer's market. That's all right. What about decent, honest, working Americans and Brits?
Yeah.
Not you with your lovely hair and a jeu scarf, or me, a media personality. We're all right at a farmer's market, but like McDonald's is nice and cheap and reasonable. Monsanto, that's feeding the world.
Yeah.
Tell me why that's not true, if you can.
I can. The truth is that our taxes are being used to subsidize global trade.
A series of treaties, new ones almost every year, promote economic growth through international trade. As a consequence, countries today routinely import and export nearly identical quantities of identical products.
The market model of big corporations like Monsanto and McDonald's is artificially bolstered and supported by taxpayers' money.
That's right.
Oh, so it's not like capitalism, I thought, was the survival of the fittest. They set up a better economic model, they sell cheap food reasonably, and therefore they succeed. But no, tax money is used to support these corporations, and trade agreements are set up that are advantageous to them and prevent localised cultures emerging.
That's right.
That's an important piece of information.
Very important piece of information. So we should always remember we're paying out of everything out of two pockets, out of our tax pocket and out of the money that's
So you buy McDonald's twice?
So we're buying McDonald's.
You go there, you have a filet-o-fish, delicious,
That's
and then
right.
secretly Ronald slides his begloved hand into your other pocket, perhaps touching your testicles, we don't know. So you're possibly being sexually abused and paying for out of two pockets for a filet-o-fish.
We often hear about efficiencies of scale, but actually the truth is what we've developed today is a system that could not be more wasteful. We have tuna fish caught on the east coast of America, flown to Japan, processed, flown back to America and sold to consumers. We have English apples flown to South Africa to be waxed, flown back again to be sold to consumers. The whole process involves incredible quantities of waste.
Every child on this planet, everybody deserves to have fresh, healthy food and local
How can
food.
that happen?
And if you had any kind of a semblance of a true free market, of course food from 5 miles away is going to be cheaper than food from 10,000 miles away.
What it is we've created an artificial structure. It's like the food itself is an interesting metaphor for the economic structures that hold it together. It's artificially pumped full of steroids and it's held together by chemicals in the same way that the trade agreements are artificial structures that are economically supported through taxpayers' money. So that concept we have of like, because I even think if I'm down a farmer's market and I see some apple that's got a bit of dirt on it, I think, this is a bit bourgeois, what's happened to me? I'm meant to be in Grays eating a McDonald's, I'm meant to be in Grays having like some nuggets, right? But that's because I've got artificial information.
That's right, you've been brainwashed.
My brain's been washed.
Yeah, your brain's been washed. All of our brains have been washed. I can't tell you. I mean,
It's exhausted you, isn't it? You've been doing it for ages. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this 40 years.
Important messages that we've got to get across, Helena, was rein in the power of big business, relocalise food and farming. I think you understood that bit from when we were talking about McDonald's versus local farmers markets and how they're able to provide that food, cheap food, because they're propped up
and
artificially.
let me say something about that. One of the beautiful things about that is that to shift subsidies and to change regulations is something that practically would be very easy to do.
Would it?
Yes.
How?
Because practically all you do is decide that you're going to have rules that protect you from big businesses coming into your
How do we
area.
do that?
We build up a movement with the help of Russell Brand. We build up enough of a movement to take over the political framework. So we look at the 5-Star Movement in Italy, where they built up outside of the media, away from politics, a people's movement. And most importantly, they got people to get together locally and locally to start discussing and to start running politicians. Right now, going into politics, sending in 1 or 2 politicians who think they're going to change things, it's pretty hopeless. We've got to have much greater understanding outside of politics. What are the real issues? We're economically illiterate. We haven't even known about these trade treaties.
What can people do directly?
Directly, the first thing they should realize is that spreading information is activism.
Go and spread some information.
Go and spread some information. Spread the Trews, spread our film, The Economics of Happiness.
Here is this film,
Which is-
Economics of Happiness, that you can watch.
I would say the number one step really is to try to connect with some like-minded people locally.
Okay.
We can't go at this alone, and things become so much more fun and so much more exciting if we do it together.
There is a reason people are eating McDonald's and instead of eating localised farming, and it ain't just because it's propped up. It's because they know how to talk, they know how to communicate, they know how to have good symbols, good language, good iconography, easily communicated ideas that are attractive and appeal to people in a basic way. That's why I'm frightened of. I'm frightened when, like, you know, for me this is vital and important information about the salvation of the planet and the salvation of every individual, having the right nutrition mentally, having the right nutrition physically. And it's extremely important, and somehow it starts to sound like some sort of hokey thing that's an option. It is not.
No,
it's like
not
joining ISIS. This is life and death. This is life and death.
It is life and death.
Take to the streets. This has got to feel like crystal meth.
Yeah, I think it can feel like crystal meth if people realize how quickly information can spread, if they realize how quickly they can actually turn around and feel connected.
So the things that we've learned, farmers markets don't have to be an awful bourgeois thing, that localised food ought to be available for everyone. We're promoting an event with Chris Hedges in NYC, launching an international alliance. What's the date of that?
That's November the 8th at Cooper Union in NYC, Manhattan. November the 8th.
Is there a website?
There's a website, Local Futures.
Have a look at Local Futures.
And it's called Voices of Hope in a Time of Crisis. Come along. It's going to be fabulous.
I hope you've learned something from that. That is some True News. Subscribe here to True News. True News. Subscribe here. Subscribe here.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.